Hey everybody, Brian Smith here. Thanks for joining me on this Facebook Live. What is today? Today's Tuesday, beautiful day. It's another hot one. I think it was 96 degrees yesterday in Irvine, so pretty warm. Beautiful day. We're going to be talking, of course, about selling homes, and specifically we're going to talk about auctions. I'm going to give you all the ins and outs on auction. You can figure out if it's right for you if you're thinking about selling your house. And if you want more information on how we do auctions, you can go to highestbidderauction.com. On that website, there's a letter about how we run the auctions, the benefits to you as the seller. And you can, if you're interested, you can fill out a form at the bottom and we'll reach out to you. So, all right, let's get into it. First of all, let's talk about what an auction is. If you don't know what an auction is, it's just simply where you take something valuable and you price it below the market value, and you basically create an instant bidding war, and the bidding drives the final price of that valuable up. And this is used for all kinds of things. You probably know that vintage collectible cars, rare cars are auctioned, fine art is auctioned, luxury homes are auctioned. So sometimes when we talk to prospective sellers about selling their home through an auction, they think, well, you know, this is for somebody that's in a distressed situation, like the bank owns the property and they're going to auction it off. But that's not the case. You can use an auction to sell a home without it being in any kind of trouble, such as a foreclosure or bank owned. So basically, an auction, just going to price it low and sell it high through a bidding war. There's different types of auctions, and well, before we cover that, it's probably good to point out, if you're going to sell your house, some of the concerns that you might have might be, are you going to get the price that you want for the house? Are you going to leave any money on the table? Those are two big concerns when we talk to homeowners about selling their home. They're usually worried about the price that they're going to get and whether or not they're going to sell themselves short. So as we go through this and talk more about an auction and the different types of auctions and how they can be set up, hopefully you'll see that an auction can be a way to get the highest price and to make sure that you actually don't leave any money on the table. You squeeze everything out of the sale that you can. So hopefully you'll see that as we go through this. And if you are just joining us, and what we're talking about is selling your home through an auction. This isn't a distress sale. It's for homes in any condition. And if you want to learn more about how we do those auctions, you can go to highestbidderauction.com. That's highestbidderauction.com. There's a letter there, explains how we do it and the benefits to you as the seller. And if you're interested, there's a form, you fill it out, and then we'll reach out to you. So let's get into it. What we're talking about are auctions, and who's an auction good for? And like I just said, it's kind of good for any seller. It could be a seller that has just getting onto the market, and you want to create some excitement and you want to sell fast for the highest price. Auction can be the way to go. It's definitely a good choice if you had your house on the market and it did not sell. Maybe you had it on the market and you weren't happy with the agent and you canceled the listing. Now you got to figure out what to do, or maybe the listing just expired. The thing that's working against you in that case is your number of days on market. If you go right back onto the market, your days on market are still going to be high. They're still counting. And that's going to put you at the back of Zillow, Trulia, a lot of the websites, and that's going to just stifle a lot of the enthusiasm that you need for your home. So doing an auction for an expired listing or canceled listing can really bring a lot of new excitement. And one of the things that's cool about doing an auction is that it doesn't matter what so it doesn't really matter what condition your home is in. The thing is that if you're doing an auction, you're going to attract buyers. You're going to attract people that are going to bid on your home that want it in the condition that it's in. So it can be completely remodeled, that's fine, or it can need some work, or it could be really, really rough around the edges. It doesn't matter. That's one of the things that's cool about doing an auction is the condition. You know, regardless of condition, you can get top dollar for the house. So that's you know, more about like who an auction is for. And let's talk about the types of auctions. because some people don't realize that there's different types. And some of these types can be combined together. So for example, one type of auction is what's called an absolute auction. So that just simply means whatever the highest price is, that's what it's going to sell for. Opposite of an absolute auction would be if the highest price wasn't agreeable to the seller, then the seller would not sell. So that would be like what's called a reserve auction. So a reserve auction might be where the starting price on a property is $500,000. The seller is not going to sell for no less than $530,000. And the highest bid comes in at $525,000. In a situation like that, the reserve is not met, and then the house doesn't sell. You see reserves a lot of time. If you've ever been on eBay, some people will do their auctions on eBay with reserves and some won't. Another type of auction is a minimum bid. Minimum bid just means that there's a certain amount that you have to start at and go up from there. So if you were hoping to sell your house for $550,000, you might have a minimum starting bid of $500,000 or $525,000. That means if somebody wants to come in and offer less than that to start, you're not going to allow them to do that. So that's a minimum bid situation. A popular type of auction is also live auction. Live auction is where everybody is present, or they have a representative present, and they're calling in through phone. You've seen these kinds before on TV, and they're like, 500,000, going once, going twice, and somebody might raise the paddle and say, yeah, let's go with, 510. And they say, okay, 510, going once, going twice. That's a live auction. A round robin auction is the type of auction that we do here at Showcase Agency. Round robin is just simply, let's say that we had 50 bidders, 50 people bid on this particular home. We're going to start with one of the bidders and make our way down all the way through and give each one of those bidders a chance to increase their bid and become the highest bid. After you go through that once, you circle back around to whoever's left. If you go through 50 people, 40 of them might drop out, and now you've got 10. You go through those 10, 5 might drop out, and now you got 5. You go through those 5 and everybody might drop out and you might have the highest bidder. That's a round robin. You're just going through everybody until you've got one highest bidder. Nobody wants to go any higher than that. And then you can combine some of these things. Like you could have a round robin with a minimum bid. You could have a live auction that's an absolute auction. So some of these things can be combined. What we do here is we do a round robin with no minimum bid. That means, strangely enough, if somebody wanted to put 1 cent down as their bid, we're going to let them do that. And there's a reason why. And if you want to see more about how we do things, you can go to highestbidderauction.com. And there's a letter there that explains the benefits to you as a seller. And if you're interested in it, you can fill out a form at the bottom and we'll reach out to you. So next thing I want to talk about is the benefits of an auction, right? So, if you're selling the house, why bother with an auction unless there's some benefits to you as the seller, right? So one benefit is oftentimes you can get a higher price for the house because of the competitiveness of the bidding. The bidding is going to take and put bidders against each other. And so they're competing against each other instead of competing against you. If you've been following us for a while, you know that whether we're doing an auction or a standard sale, we want to have a bidding war, and we want to get that bidding war within the first 1 to 2 weeks. If it's an auction, we want to get it in the first week. But a bidding war is going to drive the price up. Auction is a great way to get an instant bidding war. And, it's going to put you at the top of what you can get for the house and maybe even push it up an extra, 4 or 5% above what you would get through a standard sale. So the benefit right there is more money in your pocket from the sale. Another benefit is kind of, hey, if you don't have if your price isn't met, if you want to sell for, say, $600,000, and the highest bid you got is $550,000, and you're in a situation where you don't have to accept that bid, then you can just go right to a standard sale, or you can just hang on to your property, whatever you want to do. and you've gained some really valuable information. Now you might know how many bidders there were, so you can gauge the interest of the public. And you also know what they were willing to offer for your house. And so that's valuable information if you're really serious about selling it. Sometimes people that don't get the price they want at an auction, then they'll just turn around and put it on the market as a standard sale. But now they're able to price the home knowing what real people were willing to pay for the house, instead of just going off of a realtor's opinion of what the house should be priced for. So hopefully that makes sense. Another thing is, depending on how the auction is ran, it could probably save you a lot of time, a lot of frustration, mainly with keeping the house clean or having to leave the house. So the way we run auctions, we don't let anyone see the house until the preview weekend. And then during that preview weekend is the only time that they see the house. Then they make all their bids. So up until that point in time, there's just a lot of excitement that's being built about your home, but you're not having to keep it clean because nobody's coming to see it. You only have to keep it clean for one weekend. That can save you a lot of time and frustration. Also saves you from having to, stop what you're doing just because a realtor wants to show the house to a buyer. It stops you from having to figure out what to do with your pets and things like that. So that's another benefit. So, if you are just joining us and you're wondering what we're talking about auctions. And if you want to know how we do auctions, you can go to highestbidderauction.com. And on there's a letter. It explains everything that we do and the benefits to you as the seller. You can fill out a form if you're interested, and then we'll reach out to you and see if we'd be a good fit. We may be a good fit for you, we may not, but be happy to talk with you about it, answer any questions you've got. So let's go ahead and kind of recap it. We're talking about auctions. If you're selling a house, don't feel like auctions are only for distressed properties like bank-owned or foreclosed properties. Just keep in mind, lots of valuable things are sold through auction. Fine art, collectible cars, luxury homes, all kinds of valuables are sold at auction, because auction a lot of times creates a bidding war that drives the price up higher than a traditional sale would. So number one of your benefits is just going to be the fact that you could get more money for the house. Number two benefit is that a lot of times with running an auction, if you don't get the price that you want, you got some very valuable feedback. Now you know how many people were interested in your house, what they were willing to pay. If you do decide to hang on to it, you know that you hung on to it because you couldn't get the price you wanted. You don't feel like, you don't know that. It's not an unanswered question for you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But if you do decide to sell it after an auction and you didn't get the price you wanted, now you've got some really good information to help you price the house instead of just depending on a realtor. So also there's a lot of ease in running an auction because you're not going to have to show the house quite as much. So hope you found this thing helpful. Again, if you're interested in selling your house and you want to know about how we run our auctions, you can go to highestbidderauction.com, read all about it. If it sounds good to you, fill out the form. We'll get in touch with you. We also do standard sales, so if you read through the thing and you're not interested in an auction, but you still want to talk to us, you can fill out the form, and when we get on the phone together, we'll talk about a standard sale, whatever is good for you. All right, hey, I hope you have an awesome day, and we'll see you next go around. Take care.